Lesson 3. Solving right-angled triangles. When I say solve a triangle, what I mean is, well, every triangle has how many sides?
3.
How many angles? I mean, find all of the ones that you don't know. Find 6 things. Well, actually, you won't ever find 6 things because I have to give you some of them to start you off with. Okay? So today we're going to combine the last couple of topics in order to solve word problems and triangles using the 3 tools of trigonometry. What are the 3? Each of the following tools requires that you know different things about the triangle you're trying to solve. The first one is the Pythagorean Theorem, which was, what was Pythagoras as an equation? Let's write that down here. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. What are you finding with Pythagoras, an angle or a side? So it says with this tool you're using it to find a side. You must have 2 sides in order to use it. Because there's 3 letters in the equation, you need 2 of them to find the third. By the way, you also have to have a right-angled triangle. That's why this is called solving right-angled triangles. Next year you'll learn, hey, what if there isn't a right angle? Now what? You'll learn something called the sine law and the cosine law. Not this year. Then we have the primary trig ratios. That was sine, cosine, and tangent. Oh, wait a minute. I gave you a dumb acronym to help you remember what goes with what. What was the word? Let's write that in brackets there. SOHCAHTOA. What could you find with SOHCAHTOA? Could you use it to find a side? Could you use it to find an angle? Oh, so you can use it to find a side or an angle. By the way, what would a good abbreviation be to use for the word side? Capital S. What would be a good abbreviation to use for the word angle? Capital A? Sure. Here's why I said that. To use SOHCAHTOA, you either need SA, one side and one angle. Is that okay for writing that? Or if you have SA, one side and one angle, you can use that to find a missing side. Or if you wanted to find a missing angle, you needed, what would SS mean? 2 sides. The third one we haven't really talked about yet. It's called the angle sum of a triangle, and you may have learned this last year. If you add up all of the angles, the interior angles of a triangle, what does every triangle add up to? Do you know? This is, yeah?
Was it 180?
It's 180. What's that? Equals 180 degrees. You can use that to find a missing angle. However, if you're going to use the fact that every triangle adds to 180, how many angles does every triangle have grand total? 3. You know what? If you want to find the third, you know how many you need first? 2 of them. So that you can go 180 minus the first one, minus the second one gives you the third one. So you must have 2 angles in order to use that tool. That's it. That'll get you to solve any possible right angle triangle. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. That's about 2,000, that's over 2,000 years old. SOHCAHTOA. And, oh yeah, every triangle adds to 180 degrees. Oh, by the way, note, tools numbers 1 and 2, Pythagorean Theorem and SOHCAHTOA, can only be used when you have a right or 90-degree angle. So example 1 says, For each of the following, find all the missing angles and sides. The short word for that, Marcus, is if I give you a triangle, and instead of saying find x or find y, if instead, Brady, I just say solve. So number 1. What's the first thing they want us to fill in the blanks down here? What does that little funky symbol right there mean? Angle. Our symbol for angle is actually an angle. Yeah, makes sense. They want us to find angle M. What does every triangle add to? How big is this angle right here? How big is this angle right here? How big does that have to be? 28. We use the angle sum of triangles rule. And I'm giving you some notation here as well. What's the next thing they want us to find, Naomi? What does it say underneath angle M equals 28? What 2 letters is that? Which side do you think would be MD? Okay, you just figured out. This is how we label sides, by the way. We say, oh, give me the 2 end letters. MD's got to be the slanty one. Okay. Look at my diagram. Here's the angle that they gave me. Let's put a little hash mark there. That 15, which is the only other side they gave me, opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse. Let's put a little O there. DM, adjacent or hypotenuse. Oh! Some of you just got that. Which trig function? Sine. What always goes next to the trig function? Equals what over what? 15 over. You know what? Let's get clever. We have a variable that we can use. dm. Do we not? It's 2 letters, but that's very clear. Now what? Cross multiply. You're going to get 15 times 1, which in your head is, and it's going to be side dm times the sine of 62. How would I get dm by itself? So dm is going to be 15 divided by the sine of 62, which is what? By the way, dm, md, same thing. Yes, they called it md in the writing. I called it dm. What is 15 divided by sine 62? 16.99? Did they say how many decimal places to go to in the notes? Let's go to 2, which would be 16.99. Put your pencils down, look up. Mr. Dueck. Yes, Brianna. What if I didn't want to use this 62? Mr. Dueck, what if I had written the 28 right there and I decided to use that? Okay. This would no longer be opposite. What would it be instead? Adjacent. You'd have an A and an H. Which trig function? Cos. Instead of a sine, what you would have is a cosine right there. A cosine right there. A cosine right there. Can all of you, oh, and a 28. On your calculator, what's 15 divided by cos 28? What if you did it that way? What do you get? 16. Oh, it still works as long as I adjust my trig function and my angles? Cool. I'd still use the 62 because that's the one that they gave me, and I'm always paranoid that I might have made a mistake solving one of the other ones, but nothing wrong with it. What's the next thing they want me to find? UD, DU. Okay. Opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse. Here's my angle. Here's DU, opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse. I heard some say opposite, I heard some say adjacent. Which one? To the 62, it's adjacent, yes? And am I hearing bad words out there? Let's go see who's out in my hallway. Which trig function? Well, Brody, I could use A and H cos of 62, but just in case I got this one wrong, which I might have, because I may have hit the wrong thing on my calculator, I think I would use the side that they gave me, so I have those two. Which trig function? Tan. What always goes next to the trig function? The angle. Opposite over UD. Fact, if I cross multiply, I think, am I going to get UD equals 15 divided by tan 62? Did I go too fast? You're going to get 15 equals UD tan 62 and then divide. Is that okay, Ty? Yeah? Is that right, Anthony? You know how lazy I am? I'm actually going to go like this. I'm just going to backspace on my calculator and change the sign to a tan because I'm pretty sure that's exactly what I have written there now. I don't even have to retype everything. It's kind of cool. And I get 7.98. Yep.
I don't get how you got M.
Have I got what?
M.
Angle M?
Yeah.
What does every triangle add to? In degrees.
180.
So what's this angle right here?
180.
No, what's that angle right there?
90 degrees.
90. What's this angle?
62.
Go 180 minus 90 minus 62. That's what's left.
Oh.
Yep. Good question. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Sorry, what was UD? 7.98. If I round off properly, which I will. I could check my answer by trying Pythagoras. Apparently, 7.98 squared plus 15 squared should be really close to 16.99 squared. Square root. Is it? Woohoo! Ashley, let's scroll across the page to this. Okay. How many angles did they give me in part B?
One.
Only one, the 90. What do they want me to find first, Marcus?
D.
Angle D? You know what? Let's put a little thunk hash mark right there. And I guess mark it, well, any suggestions? Now what? Kiri, you want to give Jordan a little elbow for me? He needs it.
I'm sure.
Okay, but you looked like you were getting a little low. You good?
Yeah.
Hey, what am I going to do now, folks? Label the sides, Mr. Dueck? Brilliant! Brilliant! Knew I could count on you. Hey, what's this 12? Opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse? By the way, if you didn't color in angle D, you're setting yourself up to make mistakes. Color in angle D. That's now our frame of reference. What's that 12? Opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse? Woohoo! What's that 13? Which trig function? What always goes next to the trig function? The angle. What's the angle here? A variable, d, equals opposite over hypotenuse. How do I find an angle? This is not cross multiply. How do I find an angle?
Shift.
Shift or second function or inverse? Good, find it. Figure out how your calculator works. Whoop, that's wrong. Do you get 67.4 degrees? I'll go to 1 decimal place for the angle. Darian, what's the next thing they want me to find?
The degree for O.
How about we just say angle O?
Yeah.
Do I know angle G?
No.
Yep.
90 degrees.
Did I just figure out angle D?
Yeah.
Then you know what? Angle O is going to be 180 degrees minus 90 minus 67.4. Whatever's left has got it, because they got to add to 180. The three of them.
22.6.
22.6 degrees. Curtis, what's the next thing they want me to find? GD? The vertical part, yes? How can I find that? I got lots of options. Do I know two sides already? Pythagoras would work. Do I know one side and an angle? SOHCAHTOA will work. What do you want to do, Pythagoras? You know what? Pythagoras would be safer because Pythagoras, I'm using the information that they gave me. If I made a mistake on the angle, I can still get DG right. So what's Pythagoras going to look like? What squared plus what squared equals what squared?
12 squared plus b squared equals 13 squared.
$12 squared plus mystery side DG squared equals 13 squared. You can call it X if you really want to. But why invent new variables when they already gave you convenient variables? Now what?
Square them.
Nope. I mean, I'd do something first. Okay, let's square them then. Fine. 144 plus DG squared equals 169. Now what?
Minus the 144 on both sides.
Yeah, I probably would have minus 12 squared from both sides just because it's smaller numbers and I'm better at smaller numbers. But yeah. So you're going to go like this. Minus 144. Minus 144. I'm running out of room. And I get DG all squared equals, what is 169 take away 144?
25.
Oh, 25? Now what? Square root? In your head, what is the square root of 25? 5. Did they give me units at all? Centimeters. Ta-da! We have solved a triangle. By the way, you may have noticed a pattern. I need to give you 3 things so that you can solve 3 things. And one of the things is always going to be the 90-degree angle that I give you. This is so much fun, Mr. Dueck. Can we turn the page? This is ever so fun. Why, yes, let's turn the page. Example 2. A man standing off the top of a 130-meter high cliff fires a cannon down at a ship sailing 800 meters offshore. Find the angle of depression of the cannon, then find the distance the cannonball traveled before it sunk the ship. Did you all just turn the page? No, you're all on the same page still? Okay. So you do have SOHCAHTOA written somewhere in your notes, because we did do that, yeah? Otherwise I would have. I have to, because I've turned the page. I have to write. Brady, is this a word problem? Yeah? I think I told you this little acronym. What does DULP stand for? Draw a little picture. Let's draw a picture. Cliff. $130 meters high. Fires a canyon down at a ship. Ship. Sailing 800 meters offshore. Is that okay, Garrett, so far? What do they want me to find? The angle of depression. Which, oh, you know what? I should draw the cannon in. There's the cannon. Now, remember, the angle of depression is that guy. Angle of depression. When you're depressed, Greg, you lower your eyes because you're, it's that one. From straight down. Which is a bit of a problem because it's not in my triangle. Can I do that? Yep. Oh, Amy, is that true? That top right corner is a right angle? And, ooh, cool, cool, cool. Brianna, how far from here to here? How far from here to here? So you're right, say it again. How far from here to here? How far from here to here? Ah. Oh, Brianna, joy of my heart. How far from here to here? How far from here to here? Woohoo! Now I have theta in my triangle, the angle in my triangle. That 800, opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse. That 130, opposite or hypotenuse. Opposite. Which trig function?
10.
What always goes next to the trig function, Amber, my angel? What's the angle this time? That variable called what? Do you remember? Theta. What does that equal, though? What over what? So if you're actually doing artillery from a cliff, what angle do you need to drop your guns down by? I missed that. 9 point something? 9.23. Anybody else? What was that? 9.23. That's only the first thing it wants me to find. Brody, what's the second thing it wants me to find? Sorry? What about the flight of the cannonball? The distance? Is that what it says? What else does it want me to find? Yes? So here's my question. Which of those sides is the distance the cannonball travels? Which of those is the flight of the cannonball? Pardon me? I don't think the 800 is. I don't think the cannonball went straight out, came to a stop, and then dropped suddenly magically. Which of those is the flight of the cannonball, folks? Ah, the hypotenuse, which I haven't labeled yet. Let's call that H. How can I find that?
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
I can use Pythagoras. Or I could go adjacent over hypotenuse cosine. Or I could go opposite over hypotenuse sine. Let's go a squared plus b squared equals c squared, because that uses the two sides that they gave me, and I'm a good test writer. Although if I finished this test early, I could then try SOHCAHTOA to find that same side, and if I got the same answer both ways, I'm pretty sure I've done everything. So, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. 800 squared plus 130 squared equals... Have we given it letters at all? C squared. $800 squared plus 130 squared equals... That's way too... Oh! What have I forgotten to do? I just found C squared. C is going to be the square root of 656,900. 656,900, Mr. Dueck. Will this work out evenly? It'd be a fluke, but maybe. Didn't think so. 810.5? There you go. So what does solve mean if I say solve a triangle? Jordan, find everything that you don't know, please. You'll always know one angle because you'll always, Brianna, know that one's a 90 degree. And then you'll know either one more angle or one more side. Find the rest. What's your homework? Number 1 is fine. 2 is fine. 3 is good. Ooh, it even reviews some slope. I don't know how to do that. You're fine. 4. So far I've given you 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I have a take-home quiz for you to work on as well.